Welcome to Reddit Affairs, the place where secrets are revealed and hearts are broken. Sit back, relax, and let this story take you on an emotional ride. And remember, if you love deep, dramatic stories, don't forget to subscribe and support the channel. I used to think that trust was unbreakable when it came to my marriage. Emily and I had been together for 12 years, high school sweethearts, college partners, husband and wife. We had what everyone around us called a dream relationship. But the truth is, dreams can turn into nightmares faster than you can blink. It started on a Thursday evening, just like any other. I came home from work exhausted, loosened my tie, and expected to see Emily cooking dinner, humming to herself like she always did. But that night, the house was quiet. Too quiet. Her car was in the driveway. The lights were dim, and I could smell her perfume lingering in the living room, a scent I used to love but would soon come to hate. I called her name. No answer. Then I saw her phone on the counter, buzzing every few minutes. I shouldn't have looked. I really shouldn't have. But something deep inside me told me to. Something primal. When I picked it up, the screen lit up a message that said, "Last night was incredible. I can't stop thinking about you." At first, I thought it had to be a mistake, a wrong number. But the next few messages made my stomach turn. He has no idea, does he? Can't wait to see you again, babe. I froze. My hand was shaking. The air felt thick. My heart was pounding so hard that I thought I could hear it echo off the walls. I scrolled up, reading everything. Weeks, maybe months of messages, pictures, inside jokes, a secret world that didn't include me. The woman I had trusted with my life had been sleeping with someone else, some guy named Jason. I stood there, staring at the screen, my reflection visible in the black glass once the messages stopped coming. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just felt empty, numb. When Emily came home an hour later, she smiled like nothing happened. She walked up, kissed me on the cheek, and asked, "You okay, babe?" I wanted to scream. I wanted to confront her right there. But something inside me said, wait, if she could lie so easily, then I could learn to do the same. That night, I acted normal. I hugged her, asked about her day, pretended I hadn't seen anything. Meanwhile, my mind was spinning, planning, analyzing every word she said. Over the next few days, I played the perfect husband. I took her to dinner, sent her flowers, laughed at her jokes. And every night, after she fell asleep, I went to her phone again, collecting every detail. Screenshots, call logs, even hotel receipts. Jason wasn't just some random fling. He was her co-worker, a guy she had introduced to me months ago. The same man who shook my hand at the company barbecue, smiled at me, and called me buddy. I started noticing things I had ignored before. How she'd get extra work calls late at night. How she'd suddenly need girls' nights. How she'd spend more time getting ready than usual. It was all right there, hiding in plain sight. One night, while she was in the shower, I opened her laptop and saw their video calls. I watched for maybe 30 seconds before I slammed the lid shut. I couldn't stomach anymore. I wanted to confront her, but not like a fool. I wanted her to feel the betrayal she had made me live through. So I started planning my revenge. Quietly, carefully. The first step was to make her believe everything was fine. I even suggested we go on a weekend trip together. Something romantic. I said. She lit up like a kid on Christmas morning. Maybe she thought I was still blind, but I wasn't. Every night, I looked at her differently. I memorized her lies. I studied her excuses. And in my head, I was already writing the ending to our story. Because when someone destroys your heart, you don't always cry. Sometimes you plan. And I was going to make sure Emily never forgot what she did to me. Not today, not tomorrow, but soon. For the first few days after I found the messages, I moved through the house like a ghost, present but hollow. My acts of normality were deliberate, surgical. I smiled, I kissed, I paid bills, I cooked. I learned to laugh on cue. Emily didn't change a thing. She never suspected that the man who sat across from her at dinner was cataloging her life into tiny, sharp pieces. You learn an odd arithmetic when someone betrays you. Every lie adds up, every omission becomes a number. I began converting smiles into timelines, texts into proof, late nights into patterns. I printed conversations. I saved receipts. I made folders on my computer with names like dates and hotels and calls. It was clinical, almost soothing. I wasn't the kind of man who destroyed things in a frenzy. I preferred the slow, clean precision of planning. My first purpose was simple: make Emily feel the ripple of her own deception, not through yelling or threats. Those were cheap, and they would satisfy no one. But by taking away the comfortable ignorance she'd been living in, I wanted her to see herself reflected in the glass she polished every night and recognize the stranger. I started where any careful person would start, with the people who loved us. Family gatherings are weirdly honest places. People speak freely when they think the stakes are low. So I began to drop casual remarks to my sister, to my best friend Mark, to my mother. Nothing explicit, only hints. She's been distant lately. I'd say, "Have you noticed Emily working late a lot?" My voice would be light, almost careless, like a man mentioning the weather. Each response I got fed me. My sister's worried frown, Mark's raised eyebrow. They started to look at her differently when she walked into the room, and I felt a small, private triumph. But that alone wouldn't be enough. I needed to build pressure where she felt the most exposed, where she liked to be admired. Emily prided herself on being the perfect combination of wife, colleague, friend. Her reputation at work mattered to her in a way that was almost religious. So I collected things that would not only prove her infidelity, but would embarrass her in the world she curated. I did not hack, spy, or break and enter. I didn't have to. Infidelity is sloppy and leaves generous footprints if you know where to walk. I found the names of the hotels she used and the receipts she left in her purse. I noted the dates when she had team dinners and compared them to the timestamps on the messages. I printed screenshots and labeled them. I placed a few of those prints in the glove compartment of the car she drove to work. Documents she would find if she opened it. I called her attention to small things in dynamic, seemingly accidental ways. I mentioned a hotel name in passing conversation. I commented on a coworker's photo on social media. I smiled at Jason the next time I saw him and held that smile like a loaded silence. The first crack came like a hairline in glass. It was tiny, almost undetectable from a distance. She began to fumble with her words around me, to answer my questions a beat too late. Once, she left a lipstick mark on a napkin and looked at it in front of me like a woman who had forgotten where she was. Her excuses increased in complexity. Where once she said late meeting, now with conferences and overtime. Little lies require more lies, and the architecture of deceit grows unstable quickly. I invited her on the weekend getaway I'd planned from the beginning. She loved getaways. She loved the idea of us somewhere foreign yet intimate, the kind of place where people make new promises to themselves in the space between cocktails and sunrise. She agreed, thrilled. I watched her excitement like a man who had given himself into a trap he designed. 3 days before we were supposed to leave, I did something I had rehearsed 100 times in my head, but I had never imagined I could do in real life. I called Jason. My hands trembled, but my voice was steady. I didn't raise it. I didn't accuse him of anything. I only asked one question, and it was the purest attack I could think of. "Are you in love with my wife?" There was a pause long enough for me to hear the hum of traffic on his side. When he answered, it was with a laugh that did not reach his eyes, some brittle thing that made my palms sweat. "You don't have to be jealous, man. We're just having fun." He said it like a man explaining a trend. "Fun costs people," I said. "You should be careful how much you enjoy something that belongs to someone else." I ended the call without threats. The message was only, I knew. I didn't know what he did after, but I could guess. Men like him usually do one of two things. They disappear or they double down. Jason doubled. The next week, he started coming to the same coffee shop Emily liked. He bumped into her on purpose, lingered longer than necessary, and smiled in a way that owned space. He wanted recognition. Or maybe he wanted to be seen by me. Either way, his bravado made a mess of his caution. Emily started making mistakes. Her emails became flustered. She left messages unsent. One night, she came home with mascara smudged on her eyes and an excuse that didn't fit the stains. "I stayed late," she said. "I had a rough meeting." Her voice hollowed at the end. That was when I pulled my final move for the phase I'd been building toward. The reveal. Reveals are not about shouting. They are about the perfect timing that makes the other person realize how small they are in the story you've been writing. I invited our closest friends over for a barbecue on Saturday, an ordinary, sunlit thing. Emily got ready like it was any other day. Hair curled, a dress that made men glance. She laughed with our friends, poured drinks, floated from group to group like an actress on stage. Her phone buzzed twice while she was in the kitchen. She looked at it and stiffened, then tucked it into her pocket. I watched without looking. Halfway through the afternoon, I excused myself and went to the garage. I returned carrying an album, something she would always flip through to see the good memories. Vacations, our wedding, the kids of our friends. I left it on the coffee table, open to a picture of the two of us, smiling on a beach in Bali. And then I placed, like an accidental breeze, a single printed screenshot between the pages. Nothing flashy, just a single undeniable message. Last night was incredible. People are excellent at reading room temperature. The air changed. Conversations thinned. You could see shoulders tighten, a napkin clench in someone's hand. Emily's smile flickered, then came back, smaller, strained. She picked up the album and then froze in the most terrible way a person can. When the script they've been following is taken away, and nothing remains but raw improvisation. The color on her face drained. Her fingers trembled. She mouthed my name, and it sounded like a question and a plea all at once. "What is this?" she whispered. I could have exploded then. I could have hurled a list of betrayals at her, tear the calm apart, and watch the mess spill over. But I wanted more than a scene. I wanted a reckoning that made her choose. So I lowered my voice to a quiet she could hold in her hands like an accusation. "I think you know," I said. She staggered back like blinds had been pulled. Her friends looked to me, to her, to the album. 100 tiny judgments curved the air into a blade. "Lonely," she stammered. She tried to laugh it off. "It's not what it looks like," she breathed. But the way her eyes darted to her phone betrayed the story her mouth denied. That night, in the cold space of our bedroom, she asked me if I planned to leave. I did not answer for a long time. The house was full of the evidence I had placed like fossils, remnants of the life we had once excavated together. She cried for the first time I had ever seen her cry in front of me. Her tears were not cataclysmic. They were practical, like rainfall on a tin roof. Consistent, small, steady. "You did this," she whispered. Her voice had the thinness of someone who had been caught. "Why are you doing this?" "Because you made a choice," I said. "And choices have consequences." She reached for me, and for a moment I wanted to take her in, to let the old reflexes fold us back into safety. But the reflexes had been trained out of me by months of looking at her like someone I was studying, not someone I was holding. I let her hand fall away. We slept in opposite ends of the bed that night. Two people under the same covers measuring the distance between what was and what could be. I felt no relief, only a cold, sharp clarity. Revenge, I learned, is not always the fireworks people imagine in movies. Mostly it is made of quiet, small things, the reassignment of trust, the repositioning of pride, the slow dismantling of illusion. Part of me feared what I had become, a man arranging the ruins of his life with a steady hand. Another part felt vindicated, like a craftsman who had built a precise tool for a particular wound. We were not finished. Emily trembled on the edge of a precipice, and so did I. The game had changed shape now. The audience had been invited in. What came next would be the hardest. When the people we loved began to pick sides, and when the cost of truth revealed itself not just to Emily, but to me, I was ready to keep going. But I also knew that revenge is a conversation, not a verdict. It asks you to look at yourself and decide whether what you're going to do next will heal you or hollow you further. I had not yet decided. Morning sunlight bled through the curtains, and for the first time in months, I didn't recognize the room I'd been sleeping in. The same bed, the same walls. But everything felt stripped of meaning. Emily lay on her side, facing the wall, pretending to sleep. Her breathing was too uneven to fool me. The night before had shattered whatever illusion we still had. Our friends knew. Jason probably knew by now, too. And I didn't feel victory. I felt the heavy stillness that follows an explosion, when the dust hangs in the air and you can't tell if you survived it or not. For days, Emily barely spoke. She moved quietly through the house, careful, nervous, avoiding eye contact. The confident woman who once smiled at me over candlelight dinners had become a stranger wrapped in guilt. I wanted to pity her. But every time I looked at her, I remembered those messages. The laughter, the secrecy, the betrayal. That pity turned to ice. One evening, she finally broke the silence. "Mark called," she said quietly. "He asked if we were okay." I didn't look up from my drink. "What did you tell him?" "That we're working things out." "Are we?" Her lip trembled. "I don't know." Neither did I. I'd spent months preparing for this, collecting evidence, building a plan, crafting my revenge like an artist obsessed with his masterpiece. But standing there, watching her crumble, I realized revenge doesn't heal. It feeds something darker inside you. It doesn't erase the pain. It just redirects it. Still, I wasn't done. Not yet. A week later, I called Jason again. This time, he didn't sound amused. "I heard about what you pulled," he said. "You think embarrassing her fixes anything?" "I don't care about fixing anything," I replied. "I care about truth." He scoffed. "You should have left her quietly. Now everyone knows and you look pathetic." "Maybe," I said, "but at least I'm not a coward hiding behind someone else's wife." He hung up. That night, Emily confronted me again, eyes red, voice shaking. "Why are you doing this to me? Haven't you hurt me enough?" "Hurt you?" I laughed, not because it was funny, but because the absurdity of her words split something inside me. "You betrayed me, Emily. You destroyed everything we built. And you want to talk about hurt?" She covered her face with her hands, sobbing. "I know I messed up. I know I did. But what you're doing, it's cruel. Cruel." That word hit harder than I expected, because deep down, I knew she was right. There's a point where revenge stops being justice and becomes just another form of cruelty. And I was standing right on that edge. For the next few days, I watched her try. She started cooking again, cleaning, trying to start small conversations. She even apologized, really apologized. Not the kind of sorry that people say to move on, but the kind that tastes like blood and truth. "I don't deserve forgiveness," she whispered one night, "but I can't lose you. Please." I didn't know what to say. My anger wanted her gone. My heart, the part of me that still remembered her laugh, her warmth, the woman she used to be, wanted to believe her. So I said nothing. Instead, I packed a bag. She watched me, silent. "Are you leaving?" "Yes." "For how long?" "I don't know." I left her standing in the doorway, tears streaming down her face, and for a moment I thought I'd feel relief. But as I drove away, I realized that revenge hadn't set me free. It had chained me to the very thing I wanted to escape. I checked into a small cabin 2 hours out of town. No phone service, no distractions, just me and the sound of my own thoughts, and those were loud enough. For the first time, I faced a question I've been avoiding. What now? I could ruin her completely if I wanted. The photos, the messages, the evidence. I could send them to her boss, her family, everyone. But what would that give me? A hollow sense of victory? Another sleepless night? After a few days alone, I realized something that changed everything. Forgiveness isn't about letting them off the hook. It's about letting yourself stop bleeding. So I called her. Her voice cracked when she answered. "Where are you?" "Doesn't matter," I said. "Listen to me. You don't owe me anything. I'm not coming back. But I'm done fighting. I can't carry this anymore." She started crying again. "I never stopped loving you. Maybe, but you stopped respecting me, and that's what killed us." There was silence on both ends. It wasn't angry. It wasn't cold. It was a kind of silence that comes when two people finally accept what they've done to each other. I hung up, stepped outside, and watched the sun go down behind the trees. The sky was burning orange, the same color it had been the night I found those messages. Except this time, the fire wasn't inside me. That night, I deleted every screenshot, every video, every trace of what she'd done. It was over. Revenge had given me control. Forgiveness gave me peace. And sometimes, peace is the only real victory left after betrayal.